How y'all good people doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to my channel. And while you're at it, smash that like button for me. I really would appreciate it. Also, hit that post notification bell for me so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. Be careful down in the comment section of the videos. A lot of spam, a lot of scammers. I will never ask you to contact me by WhatsApp or Telegram. I also do not invest money for my subscribers. So please be careful. Don't get yourself scammed. If you want up to 12 free stocks, Webull is going to give you up to 12 free stocks when you open a new Webull brokerage account. Put any amount of money in that brokerage account. They're going to give you up to 12 free stocks for just trying out the brokerage app. There's a link down in the description box of the video. Click on that Webull link. Open up your new Webull account today. Go get that free stock. Go get that free money. I'm going to also send you a Webull tutorial video. All you got to do is send me an email. Let me know you've opened the Webull account. You funded the Webull account. And I'm going to send you that Webull tutorial video to walk you through how to start using the Webull app to start building you some wealth. There's an email address down in the description box. Go down to that description box, get my email address, send me an email. Let me know you've opened the Webull account. I'm going to send you that free Webull tutorial video to help you start building some wealth so you can get to your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's right, guys, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I'm so fortunate that I get to experience that. Now, I didn't just fall out of the sky, hit me on top of the head. I had to put in a lot of work, right? Had to delay some gratification. Had to give up some things in the short term so that I could have everything I want in the long term. And believe it or not, guys, I'm still working on that long term. I'm still working on it. Now, one of the things that kept me out of the weeds and kept me on track to building wealth is I learned a long time ago, if I want to be broke, all I got to do is start acting like I'm rich. That's right. If you want to be broke, just keep acting like you're rich. Because, see, that's the programming that the 1% want you to think. They want you to think you're rich because you got a nice house. Maybe you got a couple cars. You got a car. The spouse got a car. You know what I mean? Maybe the kids go to private school. Maybe they don't, right? Maybe they, y'all living that American dream. And what's the American dream? Or at least the myth. The myth is rich. Most people feel like the American dream means they can want to be rich. They want to experience being rich. See, being rich and being rich are two different things. So you can act like you're rich, buying all this stuff you don't need to make other people wealthy, up to your eyeballs in credit card debt, up to your eyeballs in student loan debt, up to your eyeballs in automobile loan debt. That's acting like you're rich, but that ain't rich. See, most wealthy people, they don't have to act like they're rich because they're wealthy. See, the difference between rich and wealthy, right? A lot of rich people think they're rich because they got a good job, making decent wages. Maybe you're a six-figure earner. I don't know. Maybe you make $1 million a year. There are people out there that they earn $1 million a year, but they're still broke. That's the myth. See, the myth is the more money I make, the more I spend that money to buy things to look important, to look like I'm rich to the outside world. I made it, but that's the programming. That's the programming the 1% have trapped you in. You ever seen that movie, The Matrix? You ever seen The Matrix with Keanu Reeves? And what's my man name? The brother, I can't remember his name right now. But you know what I'm talking about, with the brother in it. Oh, Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne, that's his name. The Matrix, it talked about that. You in the Matrix, right? You in this alternate world, right? You got the real world, then you got the Matrix world. A lot of us are in two different worlds. You got the real world, and then you got this Matrix world over here that we live in. See, the real world is this. The 1% got you brainwashed. They got you programmed to get out here and work, and every dime you spend, make them wealthy. That's the real world, right? Then you got this Matrix world over here where we live in, that we think because we got a good job and we make a good income and we got a nice house, we got the cars, we got all the luxuries. We take nice vacations. We go skiing. We go to Disney World. But yet and still, we're up to our eyeballs in debt. See, that's the Matrix, where you think you got your own world over here, thinking you're wealthy, thinking you're not wealthy, but thinking you're rich. And you're really not. The real world, you're broke. You're broke. See, here's the deal, guys. I don't care how much money you make. Like I said, you can make $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $1 million a year, $10 million a year. If you're living on more than what you make, you're broke. I don't care how much your income is. You're broke. Right? Just because I make $1 million a year doesn't mean I'm at freedom. You're not, because if you stop trading time for money, guess what? That $1 million goes away. It does. It goes away pretty quickly. I had a one-on-one today with a young gentleman, and he was great. I mean, his attitude about life had really inspired me today. Gentleman was working for a well-known company. I'm talking about a Fortune 500 company that we all know and use. He was working for them. Got hurt the first time, they fired him. Guy had been on the job, I think he said at that time he had been on the job 10 years. Got hurt, paid him for a little bit, and then that's what they did. Fired him. So then he appealed it, went to somebody else. They got him hired back on again. Same company now. Couple years later, got hurt again. They fired him again. This time he had to go get him an attorney to try to fight him. But that's my point, though. He was doing pretty dang on good while he was working. But as soon as he could not be productive for them or do whatever they hired him to do, guess what they did? They fired him. And see, these big companies, guys, you got to understand something. They'd rather go ahead and just fire you and let you sue them. See, they got a whole team, especially these Fortune 500 companies. They got a whole litigation team. That's all they do is paperwork you to death. You and your little attorney, they're going to paperwork you to death. Because they know most people ain't going to have the pocketbooks, and most attorneys ain't going to have the war chest to be able to fight them in court to win anything. And then if they do feel like it's a losing battle for them, they'll just settle with you. But by that time, you got so much, you so far in debt with your attorney that the little money you do get, the attorney get it all. You can't win. So my point is, just because you got a job and you're doing well and you're making good money, don't mean you're going to be making good money and doing well tomorrow. Today you might be, but tomorrow you may not be. Them people fire you and they stop that check. They stop that money from coming. You're in big trouble, man. You're in big trouble. See, that's one of the Achilles heels of the United States is people wanting to look rich. And in the whole time they broke. It's all around us. You take one paycheck away from them, catastrophic event, everything, whole house of cards come tumbling down. Now, good thing for this young gentleman that I talked to, he had some assets, mainly his real estate, and he went ahead and sold that real estate and cashed out and made a nice little profit. And now he's back on his grind again. But he got a little cushion. He got some cushion. So now he's back on his grind again, working on himself, right? And following his spiritual journey, and then also getting himself back to a point where he's getting back on track to build wealth. He's going to use that nest egg that he got from the sale of his house. That's why I keep telling you guys, man, listen, most people's biggest asset is their house. But you got people out here who much rather go down with a sinking ship than to sell the house, take their profits, and start over. We get in these houses and we act like it's some type of shame or something to sell a house that, why would you be ashamed of that? Why would that be a problem for you? I mean, if I got a house and it got a couple $100,000 worth of equity in it, and the rest of my financial life is crumbling around me, I done got fired from a job, but come hell or high water, I ain't selling the house. And that's where all your equity is. That's where all your wealth is. You can always buy another house. So I applaud the young fella. Man, that young fella, he's a grown man in his own right. Age-wise, maturity-wise, he's a full-grown man. So I don't want to say young fella. He's a full-grown man and doing what men do. Doing what a man should do when he hits adversity. Not feel sorry for yourself, but pick yourself off the ground, dust yourself off, and get back on your grind. That's what men do. That's what men should do. And this is what this gentleman did. He got back on his grind. He sold that house. He got rid of it. He didn't, I can't sell my house. What would my neighbor think? I can't sell the house. What would my family think? I'm a failure if I have to sell the house. No. See, that's the trap. That's the trap. The trap is, don't sell your biggest asset and free up cash and get out of this mess you're in. Stay in the mess. Stay in the mess. Continue wallowing in the mess. Continue feeling sorry for yourself. Because if we got you that way, we control you. But the first time you get up and really understand how this financial thing works, you be like, I'm selling this. Forget this house. I can buy another house down the road. I got all my wealth tied up in this house. What am I holding on to it for? Everything else around me is crumbling. Yeah, I think I'm rich, but really I'm broke. I'm broke. And that gentleman did that. He went ahead and let that house go. And I was like, yeah, that was the right decision. I ain't ashamed to say it. That was the right decision because I'd have done the same thing. Let anything fall down on me. The house got to go. I'll get me another house some other time down the road. That's what this gentleman did. And now he's back on his grind. He got a nice cushion, nice healthy bank account, right? And then he's going to be taking that money and doing what with it? Multiplying it at some point. But he did the right thing. And this is one of the things I want to cover with y'all real quick. When he sold that house and got that windfall, got all that money, one thing I liked what he did was he didn't rush it. He didn't rush trying to get that money. You know how sometimes we get money, we get antsy. We get antsy. We got $5, $10, $15, $20,000 in our hand, boy. We can't be patient. We can't say, well, you know something, until I figure out what I'm going to do with this money, let me put it in the bank, put it in a high yield money market, put it in a CD, let me breathe, let me do a little research, let me find out how I can multiply it. Most of us wouldn't do that. Most of us will let some joker come in and sell us a whole life insurance policy where we got to put $5,000 of it in it. We'll let somebody come in and tell us about some old crazy business that ain't even got a chance of succeeding because it has no historical concept behind it that would lend itself to being a successful business. See, we'll let all kind of people come to us and get us to do things with that money instead of being patient, putting that money in the bank, figuring out, okay, let me go ahead and do a little research. What's the best opportunity I have right now to get this money to multiply, to build wealth for myself? This gentleman did that. He knew he lacked a little bit of financial literacy. He knew he didn't know enough about our financial markets. He knew he didn't know enough about our financial system to really take that money and maximize it. So what did he do? He recognized his inefficiency from a financial literacy standpoint. He said, you know something? Let's put this money in the bank. We're going to put it in a CD. We're going to put some of it in a high yield money market. And I'm going to get out here and educate myself a little bit. Let me find out what's really out here in this financial world so that I can really, really make the best use of this money and give myself the best chance to multiply it and get to wealth. And that's what this young, I keep saying young, he's young to me because I'm 55 and he's younger than me. So I keep going back to young, but he's a full grown man. But I love that attitude though. And guess what he did? He got out and started getting him some information. That's one of the reasons why he connected with me and hired me for a 1-hour session so we can consult and talk to him about some of the moves he could potentially make. Now, ultimately, he's his own man, so he's going to invest the money how he want to invest it. But he felt like, hey, I've been watching you, Richard, and you resonated with me. And I like the things that you talk about. You keep it straight, you keep it real. No fluff, no foo-foo, no fairy dust. Right? None of that magical fairy dust stuff. It's just real deal Holyfield. And he was like, yo, hey man, come on, let's do this. And that's what we did. We spent an hour together, man, and we just, it wasn't even like a one-on-one, man. It was like a fellowship. It was like a fellowship because he's a man of God. I'm a man of God. And when two men of God get together with the right motive and the right attitude, come on, man, how can you stop that? How can you stop something that God is sitting in on? You can't stop that. And he knew that. I knew that. So I felt so good. He felt comfortable. I felt comfortable. And the conversation just flowed. And we talked about everything, man. We didn't just talk about finances. We talked about life. We talked about life. That's what we should be doing. That's what we men should be doing. We shouldn't be out here fighting each other and acting crazy and acting silly. Oh no, I ain't gonna tell him about this because I done came up, got my bag. I don't want nobody else to get no bag, so I ain't gonna tell nobody. I ain't gonna hook up. I told y'all, man, we gotta stop that. We gotta stop that. But this young brother was different. Yeah, I go again with this young brother thing because he's younger than me. This brother was different. And I could tell in his voice that he had been through some things. I could tell in his voice that he had been through some things. But I was so proud of him because it didn't break him. He didn't break him. He was still praising God. He was still thankful for coming out on the other side because he could have easily quit. He could have easily gave up when they fired him from his job. Not one time, but 2 times. You know what it feels like to come home to your children, to your wife, your girlfriend, your significant other, whatever you got. Do you know what it feels like to come home as a man and you've been defeated? You've been punched in the face financially. And your significant other is wanting the best from you. They want the best for you. But as a man, when you come home and you've been defeated like that, it's hard. Because see, men, we get our reassurance from being a provider. We get our reassurance from being told that, hey, we appreciate you. You've done a wonderful job. Thank you for what you do for us. We cut a little different than women. Men are cut a little different. We need that reassurance that we appreciate you. We see what you're doing for us. We got your back. And I believe that's what he got when he got home, man, because, you know, those situations would have probably tore apart a relationship. Y'all know already 50% of the marriages in the United States end because of finances. 50% of the marriages end because of not infidelity, finances. Lack thereof, or not being on the same page. Y'all on 2 different pages financially. Before you know it, resentment creeps in. And once that resentment creeps in, you better find somebody to help you because you're not going to be able to do it on your own. And I say kudos to him and his wife because they didn't let that happen. That tells me a lot about them as a couple. So it was just a great conversation, guys. It was a great conversation. It was a humble conversation. And I know this man will do well. I know he will. I know he's going to figure it out because guess what? He didn't sit around and wallow. He didn't sit around and, oh, pity me, I'm no good. He didn't do any of that crap. He said, okay, that door closed. Guess what? Lord going to open up many more for me. My job is to get my butt out here and be positive and start making strides towards those positive doors. I don't know where they're going to open at, but I do believe they're going to open. And that's how we got to be, guys. We got to be that way, men. We got to be that way. Women too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking women, but I'm not a woman. I'm a man. So when I'm talking like this, I'm talking to men. Because see, I'm from the old school. I'm from the old school where men were men. See, my grandfather, oh no, he ain't played none of that. And my grandmother, she was right there alongside of her. But she stood in her place, he stood in his place. And that's how I am. So anytime I come across situations like that where in my opinion, the household is set up the proper way. In my opinion, men should lead. Men should be the breadwinners. Men should be the king and their woman should be the queen. Now, I know there are all different types of relationships out there, and I'm not knocking anybody's relationship if it's different than what I just described. But that's the relationship I'm in, a man and a woman. That's the relationship I'm in. I don't knock any other relationships. Whatever people want to do to be happy, I'm for that. So I don't need any of this. What do you mean, men and women and all that? Hey, I'm old school, and that's what I grew up with, and that's the type of situation that I'm in. Right? So that's why I say that. But nevertheless, men, we need to be men. We don't need to be walking around here taking our hard-earned money and spending it on things that make other people wealthy. And we sacrificing the financial freedom of our family. We shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing it. Right? We shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing that. And I see somebody popped in here and said something about being single. Hey, guys, again, if you're single, if you're married, if you're a man with a man, a woman with a woman, or whatever you want to call it, I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's your business. That's your business. I'm not against anything that helps people find happiness and freedom. I'm for it. Right? I'm just giving you a part of a conversation I had with this gentleman that I spoke with, and his situation is exactly like I described it. My situation is exactly like I would describe it, like his, man and a woman. And I'm just telling you, in that scenario, not that that's for everybody, but in that scenario, when it's man and woman, the man, in my opinion, is the leader, should be the leader, should be the breadwinner. That doesn't mean his wife can't go out and earn and do her own thing, but I'm old school. If you're going to be in a household with me and you're going to be my woman and you're going to be living, that's how it's going to be. It's not it's an old school type of attitude. And I'm okay with that. That ain't for everybody. That ain't for everybody. But building wealth can be for everybody, right? Building wealth can be for everybody. And I think in order to build that wealth, we have to really understand. We have to really understand what we're doing with the money that we make. Because if we got a good job with good salary, but we spend it all, yeah, we might consider ourselves rich, but in actuality, you're really broke. Because like I said, if you take that job away, you take that income away, what are you left with? Especially if you ain't got no assets, what are you left with? You're left with nothing. You left with nothing. You gotta protect your downside, guys. What are you gonna do if you hit a bump in the road and you get on one of the downside of this reality, this real world we live in. But again, remember, we got the real world over here, and then we got the matrix. See, the matrix is that make-believe world you created that you think, oh, everything will be all right. Nothing like that will never happen. I'm good. That's that matrix world. You got to get over here in this real world where stuff does happen. People do get fired. Like I just told you about the gentleman I spoke to today. He got fired twice by the same job. Could have easily quit, but he didn't. And that's how we got to be, though. We got to prepare ourselves. We got to prepare ourselves for adversity because adversity is coming. At some point in your adult life, you're going to face some adversity, some financial adversity, some general life adversity. And you're going to get punched in the face. You're going to get punched in the face. You're going to be fired. You're going to be mistreated. And then what you going to do? What will you do in that situation? If you ain't got no assets, I'm not sure what you're going to do. You better have some assets. You better have a rainy day fund. So stop trying to look rich. Get your act together. Get your act together. Stop trying to look rich when you're really, in actuality, you're broke. $1.3 trillion in credit card debt. $1.3 trillion in credit card debt, guys. $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. Almost $2 trillion in automobile loan debt. 61% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? What does that tell you about people in America trying to act rich and all along broke? That tells me they're broke. Now, you can act rich all you want, but the majority, it tells me, are broke. And when I say broke, I don't mean broke like, oh, I ain't got nowhere to stay. No, I'm talking about you living on more than you make. That's broke. You living on more than what you make. And if you lost that job, you don't got no emergency fund. And 100 million Americans don't even have retirement savings. So for you folks out here getting older, getting closer to the golden years, and you still don't have any retirement savings, I'm not sure what your game plan is. Hopefully it ain't just Social Security, because that's not going to work. Social Security is a supplemental income. It's not meant to be a primary income. It's meant to be a supplemental income. You got to couple that with some other income in order to make it. There's no way you make it in retirement with just Social Security. And if you do make it with that, it's going to be a really, 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 really tight lifestyle. You ain't going to have a room to buy extra box of cornflakes. It's going to be that tight if that's all you're living on. Social Security benefits. So guys, don't put yourself in that situation. Don't put yourself in a situation where you lose your family because of being irresponsible in the financial department. 50% of marriages end because of that. Relationships, they end because of that. And when you're on your second marriage, it jumps up to 70%. If some of y'all in the third marriage, it jumps up to like 90%. So it's a problem. Financial compatibility in the United States is a problem. I tell folks all the time when I'm doing these one-on-ones and it's them and their significant other. First thing I ask them is, are y'all in agreement? Y'all on the same page on this? Because if you're not, let me tell you, it's going to be an uphill battle. Y'all need to be on the same page, working towards the same financial goals if you're going to be together, right? You do, because we all know finances are a stress in any relationship. It's a stress that if not properly dealt with, will destroy the relationship, will end the relationship. So be careful. If you're out here, you better have the person that you're with. Y'all better be on the same page. That would be my recommendation. Get on the same page. If you want to be broke, start acting like you're rich. That's all you got to do. Keep on acting like you're rich. You will definitely be broke. But now if you want to be wealthy, change some things in your life. Change the way you spend your money. Change the way you have your behavior with money. That's what this gentleman that I spoke with earlier, that's what he did. He changed his behavior. He is changing his behavior every single day. And by our conversation, I can tell he has. I can tell he has. See, that's what it's all about. And like I told him, I said, it ain't about being an expert. It's not about being an expert. It's about just knowing exactly what you're trying to get accomplished. It's about knowing exactly what your goals are for the lifestyle you want to lead when you're in the enjoyment stage of wealth. That's what it's about. It's about sitting down and making that decision and being on the same page with whoever you're with. That's what it's about. It's about delaying gratification and taking that money and putting it in assets that multiply it. Keeping yourself out of consumer debt. Consumer debt is a killer, guys. It's a financial killer. It'll keep you from freedom. It'll keep you in bondage. It will keep you in bondage for the rest of your life unless you figure out how to deal with it. You got to figure out how to deal with debt. I don't mind having mortgage debt. I know some people don't want mortgage debt, and that's okay. But I don't mind having mortgage debt as long as there's income being produced from that mortgage debt. Or if I'm in the enjoyment stage of wealth and I have sufficient assets and income coming in to be able to service that debt. But I do not want credit card debt. I don't want any credit card debt. I don't want any student loan debt. I don't want any personal loan debt. I don't want any more automobile loan debt. Early on in my wealth building life, I would have automobile debt because it was at a 2% interest rate. And then I would just say, hey, instead of me paying cash for this car, I'll get no money down. I'll get a 2% interest rate, and then I'll take that money that I could have paid cash and I'll throw it in the market and get me a 8 to 10% return. When I was able to get loans at 2% for my cars. But that was a wealth building strategy. A lot of people didn't understand that. It was like, well, if you got this kind of money, why do you got a car loan debt? It's wealth building strategy, guys. I want to use every financial tool at my disposal to build wealth. That's what I did. I used credit cards through credit card arbitrage to build wealth. That was one of my wealth building tools. But see, I understood how to use my credit cards properly. So I didn't use my credit cards to buy things to make other people wealthy. I used my credit cards to buy high-end luxury watches that I would then turn around and flip online and make profit. I did that for 15 years using my credit cards as my piggy bank because I understood how the credit cards operate. I understood my start date. I understood my end date. I understood my due date. And when used properly, I knew I could get about 50 to 55 days worth of float before the credit card company would come calling for some interest. So I would jump on my credit cards at the start date of my statement cycle because I knew if I jumped on the credit card and bought my watches on the start date, I had 30 days until the end date. See, that's float. I had 30 days worth of float if I got on the card at the right time. So I got on the card on the day of the new statement cycle. And at the end of the statement cycle, that was 30 days. So that was float. Then I knew once the statement dropped, the actual payment, the balance in full, wouldn't be due for another 25 to 30 days. And that's how I funded my luxury watch sales business for 15 years, understanding how credit cards work, understanding float, understanding the grace period. Also understanding if I wanted a longer period of time to use that credit card, instead of jumping on it, I would just go do a direct deposit transfer, where the credit card company would charge me a 2 to 4% transaction fee. And then I would take the rest of that limit, put it in my checking account, and I would just have 12 to 18 months, depending upon the terms and conditions of my direct deposit transfer. I would have 12 to 18 months to use that money however I wanted to multiply it. I did that for 15 years. So I used every financial resource I could use to build wealth. And that's what I'm telling you guys to do. You got to use every financial resource. But before you can use any resource, any financial resource, you got to reprogram yourself. You got to reprogram yourself. You got to reprogram yourself and understand that credit cards is not something to use to buy things to make other people wealthy. You got to reprogram yourself. My reprogramming started when I was 26. Y'all know my story there. All I'm telling you is, listen, man, this life gonna keep moving whether you move with it or not. It's gonna keep moving. People gonna continue to build wealth, whether you wanna build wealth or not. They're gonna build wealth. That's why in this country, you have such a divide between the haves and the have-nots. See, the haves ain't got no problem with using every financial tool because they understand what they're doing. But the have-nots, they think, oh, you use your credit cards. What? How do you do? Well, why would you do that? Oh, you got a car loan. Why would you need a car loan? Oh, you got a loan on your house. Why would you need a loan on your house if you're a millionaire? If you're this, don't even understand why you would do something like that. Don't understand why you would have a loan on a home that costs what my house costs. Why would I have a loan? Why? Because I'm a guy that understands this is a dead asset. This house is a dead asset. It makes no money. No, it doesn't put any money in my pocket. It takes money out of my pocket. I just wrote a pretty good sized real estate tax bill. Almost cried. It was so much. Never paid that much in taxes in my life for my properties. I'm talking about it was a lot. But I'm okay with that because why? I built my wealth so that I could put myself in a position to own a house like this. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be paying for it cash. It makes no sense to pay for it cash. I got an interest rate of 4.5%. I can put that money in the market and do 8 to 10%. So why would I take all of my cash, pay this off in full? It creates no income, not a dime. But I'm gonna take all my money out of my investments that's earning me 8 to 10% rate of return and pay off a house that generates no income. I don't know, guys. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a PhD in mathematics. I don't have my Harvard mathematics degree, but you don't have to have any of that to figure it out. That's not a good move. Why would I pay off a house that produces no income? None, especially when I'm still actively earning income and I'm actively building wealth. Doesn't make any sense. Not to me, it don't. It makes more sense to go out and get me a really good interest rate, which I did, 4.5%, and then keep that money, right? So 100% of the purchase price, I put 25% of my money in the deal. I went to the bank and got 75% of the money. And that 75 I got from the bank, I could have paid cash for it, but I kept that money in the market to get an 8 to 10% return, knowing that the bank would give me a 4.5% interest rate on this house. But that's using all of your financial tools in order to build wealth. So I'm using all of my financial tools to build wealth. Now, that doesn't mean you got to do this strategy I'm doing, but this is the strategies I use. I use the credit card strategy. I use every technique that I can use financially to build wealth. Side hustles are a big part of building wealth for a lot of us guys. And I know a lot of you guys want to get side hustles. And I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday. One-on-one session. I've had quite a few one-on-one sessions over these last couple of weeks. I must be talking about it a little bit more in my videos because activity picked up. It just shot up, right? So I had a conversation yesterday with a gentleman about side hustles. He's probably a little older than me. I think he might be even in his 60s, early 60s maybe, or a little bit older than me. But he and I were talking about side hustles, and I told him, I said, well, you know, when I created my side hustles, I just took things that I enjoyed doing that I wasn't making any money with, and I just turned them into income streams. For me, that's the easiest way to do it. You just take things that you enjoy doing and figure out a way to turn them into income streams. So for me, it was luxury watches, right? I enjoy watches. So I said, you know, since I like watches, even though I don't own any luxury ones, I didn't own any at the time. I said, you know, maybe I can figure out a way to turn this thing into a side hustle and make some money. And that's what I did. That's what I did. I turned it into a side hustle, a lucrative side hustle. Buying online at a discount, selling online, higher than what I paid for it. So I told him, hey, think about that. Think about what you enjoy doing and then figure out a way to turn that into a side hustle. And he said, you know something, I'm a real estate agent. I got my real estate license. And you know something, man, I got a project I'm working on right now with a friend of mine. We getting ready to do a flip. I said, bingo. I was like, bingo, there you go. You already got the skill set. You ain't got to be this traditional real estate agent where you're going out, you know, working with buyers and sellers and all that stuff that a traditional real estate agent does. You don't have to do that. All you got to do is pick and choose the deals you want to go after, do them yourself or bring your partner in. And guess what? You already got the real estate license and the knowledge of the contracts and all that stuff. And guess what? Hey, you eat what you kill. So you control 100% of your time. You can dedicate 2 hours a week to it, or you can dedicate 20 hours a week. But you control it. It's your skill set. Turn it into an income stream and just run it up. And he was like, man, you know something? That's a good point. So that's one of the things he already has a skill set already. Just turn it on. And see, I think he was thinking more traditional real estate agent. I was like, no, you ain't got to be a traditional real estate agent. You just use your license to be able to find the properties, save the commissions, and do the paperwork, you know, that kind of stuff. Plus, it keeps you busy. When you retire, boom, you got something to do. I said, a lot of people do that. And then the second thing I told him, I said, think about a retail strategy. If you got more time on your hand at home and you want to figure out a way to use some of that time instead of being a consumer, and you want to use that time and be a producer, think about an online retail strategy. I did it for years with eBay stores. That was my online retail strategy. I would just have 2 to 3 eBay stores running at all times with different type of stuff I was selling on it, producing income. It wasn't more than my luxury watch sales income, but it was good, decent income for a little bit of work. And I told him, not really eBay stores. I told him, go out and get you maybe an Etsy store, or maybe create a website through Shopify, and go out and find some small online retail products. I like the cell phone space, not buying cell phones specifically, but the companion products that go along with cell phones. So I'll go get me, 100 generic earbuds. Place like Alibaba, AliExpress, same places Walmart and Target and all those guys buy theirs from. Same place. They just buying big, gigantic bulk. I'm buying smaller bulk, but I'm buying them from the same place they buy them. So when I go into Walmart, I go into Target, I go down the aisle that they got the iPhones over here, and then they got all these generic products to go with the iPhone. Guess where those come from? China. That's where they come from. They come from China. And guess what? Instead of Walmart making all the money, instead of Target making all the money, I go right to the same manufacturers they go to, buy my own bulk, create my own website, drive traffic to my own website, and guess what? Bam. Buy them for $5 a piece landed, sell them for $40, $45 on my own site, make me $35 or $40 per pair, times 100. Somebody tell me how much money that is a month. That's $4,000. I do 200 pair. Somebody tell me how much money that is a month. About $8,000. I do 300 pair. Somebody tell me how much money that is a month. About $12,000. And where am I doing it at? Privacy in my own home. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys, man. You got to start thinking about side hustles that way. Oh, it's saturated. It's 1,000 of those things on eBay. Who cares what's on eBay? Who cares? Who cares? I don't care. You think when I was flipping watches for 15 years, you think I was the only one on eBay flipping watches? You think I was the only one in the watch forums flipping watches? No. Matter of fact, I was a small fish. I didn't care about that. All I cared about was, listen, if I can get on this site and give somebody a comparable option for cheaper, I'm going to get my sales. I'm going to get my sales, and that's what I did. I didn't care about there were power sellers on eBay. I didn't care there were power sellers on the watch forums. Didn't care. I didn't care. All I care about was if I can get a good product up there, I'll undercut those guys. So if you're a power seller, you got overhead, probably got employees, you probably got inventory sitting on the shelf that's just burning a hole in you. And guess what I do? I don't have none of that. I ain't got no employees. It's me. And guess what? Made $10,000 a month. Bam, just like that. Flipping watches. $10,000 a month. Yes, sir. Oh, but it's saturated. There's too many people. See, that's excuses we make, though. See, that's the excuse we make when we don't want to do something or we're scared to death or we're afraid. We start making all these excuses. Oh, it's saturated. What? Listen, man, it ain't saturated. But those are excuses. And that's what keeps us where? Broke. All we do is want to make excuses of why we can't do something. They ain't doing nothing but keeping us broke. I'm just walking you through the blueprint. Blueprint. C student. All through high school, all everywhere. When I was in the fourth grade, my teacher tried to tell my mama that something was wrong with me. She tried to tell my mama something was wrong with me. And my mama told that, I ain't gonna tell you what my mama told that lady. But nevertheless, I made it anyways. Do you think I cared about what that one teacher thought about me? As a fourth grader? I didn't care about that. Do you think I got down on myself when I was in the ninth grade? Ninth grade. First semester of my ninth grade year, I had straight F's. Oh, let me back up. I had 6 F's, 1 D. That was in ninth grade. That was in ninth grade. But what did I do? I made a decision that I was going to turn my life around. Because I was headed to not a good life. I was headed to jail when I was 13 years old. When I was 13 years old, I was in the Juvenile Detention Center. 13 years old. Juvenile Detention Center. So don't tell me nothing about, oh, this guy right here, he played in the NFL. He rich. He don't know what the common person go through. That's crap. I know exactly what the common person go through. That's why I'm on here and talking about it. I know exactly what you go through because I done been there. I've been there. And despite being told I wouldn't be nothing in the fourth grade, despite being in a juvenile detention center when I was 13 years old, despite all of that, I stand here today telling you, you can do and be whatever you want to be if you make up in your mind that that's what you want to do. And you put some execution behind a plan. Stop making excuses about side hustles. Just go out there and create them. I don't care if you got to go through 30 of them. At some point, you're going to find one that works. But if you're just going to sit home and eat Cheetos all day and watch some other joker on TV living their lifestyle, then what are you going to do? Sitting around being a consumer all day and making excuses. It's oversaturated. You can't do that. Listen, man, for y'all out there be talking about stuff people can't do, people out there doing it every day. Millionaires are being created every day. While you sitting around here talking about, it's saturated. I can't do that. That don't work no more. That might have worked 15 years ago flipping watches, but shoot, have you seen watch prices today? Let me ask you a question. Do you really think nobody is online buying and selling watches right now in this environment? Do you think Rolex is the only one that sells Rolex? Rolex is probably a minority player in overall Rolex sales. When I'm talking about pre-owned and new, they're probably small. There are tons of people out here buying and selling watches right now, no matter what the stake. Guess what? Because there's always somebody out there that got to sell a watch. They got to create cash. It's your job to get out there and find that seller. That's what I did. I would go on eBay 2 hours every single night of the week, Monday through Friday. I would go on eBay for 2 hours a night, and I would make hundreds of offers just to get 5 or 6 guys or gals who said, yeah, I'll take that offer. I got to get this thing moved. I would spend all week to buy 5 to 6 or 7 watches because I know if I could get 5 to 7, I've just created $5,000 or $7,000 in profit for myself. See, I paid the price. I didn't sit around talking about, these power sellers on here. These power sellers on eBay, they're going to undercut me. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. No. See, because those power sellers, they don't get their watches from buying watches on eBay. They go through wholesalers and consolidators. Whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. Guy like me, I can't go through a wholesaler or a consolidator because I don't buy enough volume. So guess what? I create my own wholesale. I go on eBay and create my own wholesale through negotiating. But the key to negotiating on eBay or any of these platforms is you got to make enough offers to find the right person to negotiate with. You can't just sit around and make 3 offers and be like, I knew this wasn't going to work. No, it ain't going to work. Stop making excuses. If you want to be wealthy, you're going to have to give up something. You're going to have to pay some financial price to get there. Or you can sit around, act like you're rich, be leveraged up to your eyeballs, and then all of a sudden you lose your job, you get sick, you can't work, a whole house of cards fall down. That's your other option. Because I can tell you right now, the 1% ain't going to give you nothing. They ain't going to give you a dime. They don't care anything about you other than your ability to go out and spend your money to make them wealthy. That's all they care about. Your well-being, how you're doing, how your family's doing, they don't care anything about that. So please, guys, do yourself a favor. Stop acting rich or you're going to stay broke. You're going to stay broke. And I've already told you my definition of broke. It's not meaning you're on Skid Row. It just means you're going to be leveraged to your eyeballs in debt and living on more than what you make. If that's the lifestyle you want for the rest of your life, then stay exactly where you're at. I guarantee you, if you continue doing exactly what you're doing now, you're going to get the same thing in 24. You're going to get the same results in 25. You're going to get the same results in 26. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just say this guy's stupid. He don't know what he's talking about. Keep that attitude and see where you end up in 24, 25, and 26. While other people out there that says, you know something, I'm going to change something. I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to live on less than what I make. I'm going to live on a plan. I'm going to stay out of consumer debt. And I'm going to save and invest. And I'm going to do that for these next 3 years. I guarantee if you do that in these next 3 years, your net worth is going to be higher than it is today. You decide how much higher. You got to decide how much higher, but it will be higher. It will be higher. It will be higher. That's what I'm gonna do, guys. 24, 25, and 26, I know these next 3 years, I'm not gonna be around here trying to act rich. I don't wanna be rich. I wanna be free. There's a difference. I don't wanna be rich. I wanna have financial freedom, man. To be able to do everything I wanna do, when I wanna do it. I wanna be free. Forget rich. I'm gonna leave being rich to these folks out here who wanna act rich, but broke. I'm gonna leave being rich to them. Me, I'm chasing freedom. And I would recommend you guys chase freedom. Chase you some freedom. Get you some freedom. You never know when your circumstances in this life are gonna change, guys. And if you're financially secure, it's much easier to be able to weather those storms, those financial storms. But you gotta be financially secure. You can't be living paycheck to paycheck. You can't be living above your means. You can't have a bunch of consumer debt. You gotta start using all your financial tools to build wealth. And if you're not sure about something, learn about it. Don't try to be an expert, but just learn enough to get started. And then you learn as you go along. And that old saying, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is not true. There's nobody gonna come to you and you give them a small amount of money and they return a gigantic amount of money to you. That's not how it works, guys. So don't fall for those tricks. Don't fall for those tricks. This gentleman I was talking to today, I told him the same thing. I said, listen, man, you got a lot of money. You got a lot of money in your hands. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful of sheep in wolves' clothes. Be careful. Wolves in sheep clothes. That's what I meant to say. Be careful. Wolves in sheep's clothes. Be careful. It's a lot of them out there. Be careful. As you're out here trying to build wealth, be careful of that. These wolves in sheep's clothes. It's a bunch of them. Especially if you got a little money to invest, they'll take it from you. There is no shortcuts, guys, in this life to building wealth. There are no shortcuts. Please remember that. There are no shortcuts. Just take the long road and save yourself a lot of grief. Just take the long road. Don't go down that short road. Take the long road. I think you'll be better off. I think you'll be better off. None of us should be living above our means. Not if we're trying to build wealth. Not if we want to get to freedom. We gotta get out of that mindset. We gotta reprogram ourselves out of that. Now, I've given you some things that I did to help me create more money to build my wealth. That doesn't mean you got to do any of those things. The point of me telling you that is just to spark some interest, just to get you thinking about what are you doing right now that you enjoy, that you could potentially turn into a side hustle and turn into an income stream. That's really what I'm trying to get you guys to start thinking about. Start thinking about side hustles to get that side income coming in. Start thinking about that. I think if you do that, then you put yourself in a position where you got more money than you can do anything with, and you can take a lot of that money and put it in assets. But if we never create any side hustles and our primary income is not enough, we got no way to build wealth. Your number one tool to build wealth is income. It's income, period. Number one tool to build wealth is income. So you got to put yourself in a position to have income. And you got to discipline yourself to delay gratification and not get caught up in this trap. Can't get caught up in this buying trap that's coming around the corner right here. We're right in the middle of the holidays. We just did Black Friday thing. Y'all know how I felt about that, but hey, all I can do is give you my opinion on that. Whatever you decide to do, it's your freedom. You got these next 3 weeks, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you. You're going to be getting contacted daily via email. Daily. Daily, you're going to be getting bombarded with emails about discounts and sales and do this and do that. You're going to get bombarded on Facebook. You're going to get bombarded on Instagram. Whatever platform you're on, you're going to get bombarded. And every one of those platforms is going to be pushing you to do what? Spend. They're going to be pushing you like no other to spend, even spend what you don't have. I'm telling you, you're going to see every retailer. I've gotten so many emails from all of these giant retailers saying, hey, get our no interest credit card for 12 months, 18 months. We're going to give you another 20% discount on whatever you buy if you just sign up for the credit card. But you know why they want you to sign up for the credit card, right? Because they know Americans don't got no savings. So they know we ain't got no savings. The savings is depleted. So they can't come at you with spend your own money because there ain't no savings. So how do they get you to spend? They give you this free money. They give you this no interest money. Oh, get this $5,000 credit card. We ain't gonna ask you to pay us nothing for 18 months. And then, by the way, if you spend X amount of dollars with us, we're gonna give you another 20% off. See, that's the trap. That's the 1% trap the 1% done set for you. Because you do understand who control all of these big gigantic retailers, right? The 1%. Oh, that's a publicly traded company. The 1% can't just own that themselves. It's a publicly traded company. I guarantee you go to any of those board meetings of any of those Fortune 500 retail companies, go to one of the board meetings. I guarantee you ain't no 99%ers sitting at that table at that board meeting. I guarantee you they're not. And I guarantee if you look up who are the top 10 shareholders in those big gigantic retailers, I guarantee you all of them are 1%ers. I guarantee you all of them are 1%ers. I'm talking about like the top, matter of fact, the top 50 shareholders of any of those giant retailers. I'm talking about the publicly traded ones. The top 50 of them are all 1%ers. And then when you go to the board meeting, you ain't gonna see no 99%ers sitting at that board table, man. Come on, y'all know that. They're gonna be all 1%ers sitting at them table, man. Come on. I keep telling y'all, we gotta get out of there. Oh, what are you talking about? My favorite retailer is 1% on them, the people on them, the 99%. No, not a 99% ain't doing no investing, man. Most of the 99% don't invest. So how could they own any shares? They don't invest. That's why I got this YouTube channel to try to help people, encourage people to consider investing in paper assets. So don't get caught up in this trap, man, of these free credit card offers and getting pressured into spending money you don't have to buy things you don't need. Don't get caught up in spending money you don't have on things you don't need. You don't need all of this stuff. What you need is some assets that generate income. That's what you need. Because if trouble comes, if financial trouble comes knocking on your door, the only thing gonna save you is assets. That's it. Nothing else saves you. If something happens to me and I can no longer actively earn income, the only thing saves Richard Fain is his assets. That's it. That's it. That's the only thing saves me financially, is my assets. Without my assets, I'm putting myself in a position where I'll be financially ruined. Now, for some of y'all like, well, hey, yeah, that's okay. I done been there before. Hey, I've been there before too. I don't want to go back. I was 26, dead broke, no net worth, bad credit. I don't want to go back to them days. I don't need that I don't need that stress on me. I don't need to go back to those days. I want to go to the days where I got assets that will save me in case financial trouble knocks on my door. I got assets where I can enjoy the holidays without having to worry about how I'm gonna pay for all this crap I done bought once the holidays end, because January coming. And at some point, them credit card companies, them department stores, those big retail department stores, at some point, they're gonna want their money. All this buy now, pay later stuff, they're gonna want their money. And then guess what? You're gonna be in a financial situation where you gotta make a decision. Do I pay them or do I not pay them? Now, a lot of y'all gonna be in a position where you can't say, do I pay them, because you ain't got no money. We got no personal savings. And then if you don't pay them, of course, they're gonna take legal action against you. They're gonna ruin your credit. And then guess what? Boop, you're starting all over again. My point is this, guys. You can avoid all that. Just say no. Just delete the email. Don't act on it. Have some self-control. Don't be pressured by the 1%. Don't be pressured by the 1%. Don't let them pressure you into doing something you're going to regret in 24. Don't do it. Say no. Whatever you're buying, you'll be okay without it. You will be okay without it. Whatever, I gotta have it, you'll be okay without it. I guarantee you, all of us got something in our garage, something in our attic, something in closets that we just had to have and ain't never used it. Never used it. Just waste the money. All of us got that, especially around the holidays, because we always impulse buy. See, a lot of people, that makes them feel better. They use that as like therapy. Makes them feel better. See, a lot of us are not feeling well because we're not doing well financially. So what do we do to make ourselves feel better? We go buy crap. Make us feel better. Give us a little tingle. But then we know at some point, we got to pay the piper. And a lot of us ain't got no money to pay the piper. So then guess what? That's more stress on you. When these collectors, these debt collectors start calling you, and you know them guys and gals don't mess around, them debt collectors, but they will call you 1,000 times, harass you, threaten you. Who needs that stress in their life, man? All because you bought something that you didn't even need, you don't even use. Guys, come on, we got to stop this. We got to wake up. We got to wake up and get ourselves in a better position mentally. Get ourselves in a better position when it comes to our behavior with money. The side hustles I talked about earlier is just a way for you to make more money to invest in assets. The financial tools I talked about that I use, hey, don't use any of them if you don't want to. I'm just telling you some ideas and tips on what I did to get me to where I am. The information I gave you about my personal life, I gave you that tidbit of information because I want you to understand I done been there. I done done that. I done been there. I done been there. I know how it feels. But despite all of that, I just said, no, that's not going to be my destiny. My fourth grade teacher can't define who I'm going to be. Detention center, it's not going to define who I'm going to be. My employer for 25 years wasn't going to define who I end up being. I get to do that. Only I get to define who I am. Nobody else does it. Me. And I'm good with that. You need to define who you are. Stop letting people define you. And then all of a sudden, you got jokers out here defining you, and you believe in it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. They said them this, you home crying and acting crazy because somebody said you are something that you're not. Why would you care? Why, cut that person out your life. If people ain't speaking positive in your life, why are they in your life? I wouldn't have anybody in my life that speaks negative around me or in my life. Nobody. They know, everybody who know me know that about me. I will be on a desert island all by myself before I let you speak to me any kind of way. No. Boy, I will be out here on a desert island with no water before I let you do that. I'd rather walk through a cave full of lions with pork chop wrapped around me than to let people talk to me negatively. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. I don't care if you're 5 or 500. You're not going to talk to me negatively. It's not going to happen. See, I got more respect for myself than that. Because I know I define me, not you. You don't get the right to say whatever you want to say to me. It's not going to happen. And you shouldn't allow people to say anything they want to say to you. Just remove yourself from around it. Say, I'm not going to be violent or that crazy stuff. I just remove myself from the situation and go about my business, and that's it. Because, see, that negative talk, if we allow negative in the filter system, guess what the filter system going to do? It's going to push out negative. If I allow people to speak negatively to me, my filter system is going to say, okay, that's who you are. Don't let people speak negatively to you. Remove yourself from around them. Don't allow them to do that. And then what you do to counteract that is you speak to yourself positively. You fill your filter system with positive, with good energy. Read something positive, listen to positive stuff. See, a lot of us have things happen to us in our life because of the stuff we listen to. The music we listen to, the stuff we watch on television, the stuff we look at on social media. A lot of us welcome in a lot of this negative into our life because of what we're watching and hearing. It's just as bad as somebody standing in front of you giving you that same crap. It is. So just be careful out there, guys. Don't let people speak negative into your life. Remove yourself from around them. And then get yourself in a position where you're ready to build some wealth. If you want to be broke, keep acting rich. And I guarantee you, you'll stay broke. But if you want to get to freedom, build some wealth. You notice I didn't say act like you're wealthy. No, you got to build the wealth. If you want to get to freedom, build your wealth. One brick at a time, right? On a solid foundation. Don't build it on sand. Build it on a solid, sturdy foundation. That's why I tell you guys, don't go down the easy street because that's building it on sand. Go down the long street. That's building it on a solid foundation, taking your time, making good decisions, pivoting when you need to pivot, always moving forward. You get knocked down, you get back up, dust yourself off, keep moving forward. That's the long road. Don't go down that short road. Oh, I'm gonna give this guru $5,000 and they're gonna give me, $5,000 a month in income. Come on, guys, really? That's the short road. That leads to what? Building on a sand foundation, because you know that ain't true. Ain't nobody you gonna give $5,000 and they gonna consistently give you $5,000 every month on $5,000. Come on now, y'all know better than that. So don't fall for that. But that's the easy road. That's the short road. Go down that long road. Take your time. Understand what you're putting your money in. Calculate what type of investor you are. Aggressive, moderate, conservative. If you're conservative, then put your money in conservative things. If you're a moderate investor, put your money into moderate things. If you're an aggressive investor like I am, I put all of my money in equities because I'm an aggressive investor right now. When I get older, then I will bring that down to moderate, and then at some point I'll end up as a conservative investor because at that point I'm living off of my wealth. I don't need to grow it anymore. It's already where I want it. Now I just need to get income off of it. So I don't need to be aggressive anymore. I need to be conservative because I'm trying to protect my wealth and get income off it for the rest of my life. So you got to decide what you're trying to do. What are you? If you're going to build wealth, you got to know if you're aggressive, moderate, conservative. Can you be a 2? Sure. You can be whatever you want to be. It's your financial freedom. For me, I'm just aggressive right now, and I'm in 100% in equities. All big boy equities. All big boy ETFs. Index funds. No little stuff. All big, gigantic companies with a proven track record of performance. What are you in? What are you investing your money in right now? What are your top performers? What's your year-to-date return on your portfolio? Is it above 10%? Or do any of you all, where are you at? These are the conversations you got to start having with yourself. See, for me, I know I got to get at least an 8 to 10% return over my money over the next 10 years for me to hit the numbers I want to hit. I got to get at least 8 to 10% return. Now, some years I'm going to get negative, like I did in 2022. That was a negative. Negative. But in 2023, bounced back like a champ. Bounced back like a champ. 24, 25, 26, I think I'm going to continue to bounce back. Question is, what are you going to do? What's going to be your return? So you got to think about that. Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate you. I'm going to get on out of here. It's Friday, early evening. I think I'm going to go grab some food here and enjoy the rest of my evening, man. Just kick back, and just enjoy life. Thank God for giving me what he's given me, or allowing me to, and putting me in a position to go out and earn it, right? Because I got a choice. God just don't give me nothing, right? He gives me a choice. He puts me in position and says, Richard, here's your choices. Which one do you want to make? You can be lazy, sit on the couch eating Cheetos and watching Shark Tank reruns, or you can get your butt on that computer and buy some watches online and flip them watches, make you some spread, take that spread, put it in the assets, and build you some wealth. Those are your choices. I put you in a position now, but you get to choose which one you want to go down. I don't know, guys. That's on y'all. Which path will you go down? God done put you in position. What choice will you make? You got to think about that. If you want them 12 free stocks from Webull, click on that link down in the description box. Open up that Webull account today. Go get that free stock. Go get that free money. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. And man, do me a big favor before y'all get out of here. Hit that thumbs up for me. Tap that thumbs up as many times as you can tap it. If it lets you tap it 1,000 times, tap it 1,000 times for me. The more likes we can get, guys, the better for the channel. The more we can spread this message of financial freedom out to more people. You guys know I put people first, money second. I always have done that since I've been doing this YouTube thing, right? For 4 years, I've been doing this financial content. My YouTube channel has been up longer than that, but for about the first 4 years of this YouTube channel, it was just a little car channel. I wasn't doing really no financial stuff. So I wasn't making any money. I wasn't doing anything other than just posting my cars. But for the last 4 years, it's been a financial education channel, financial literacy channel. And the goal here is to provide people with tips and nuggets to get to their financial freedom. So if you appreciate that, hit the thumbs up for me. Hit that thumbs up, smash the thumbs up for me. I really, really, truly, truly would appreciate it. Thoughts become things. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. You guys keep chasing your greatness. Never stop believing in yourself. And I'm going to catch you on the next video. Peace.